Hello, my name is Jordan Jackson. In this presentation, I will compare outpatient services and primary care in the United States and France. I'll explore how each system is structured, how COVID-19 and telehealth have shaped these systems, and what lessons they can learn from each other. This presentation is rooted in the main ideas from Chapter 7, Outpatient Services and Primary Care from the She and Sing reading. We will begin by introducing the purpose of this comparison before diving into an outpatient and primary care overview for the United States. Then we will discuss the United States' strengths and gaps before moving on to France's outpatient and primary care. I'll explain why France's universal healthcare model offers a strong comparison to the US system. We will then examine France's strengths and gaps, discuss the COVID-19 pandemic and telehealth, do a comparative analysis, and close with recommendations and a summary. Outpatient services refer to healthcare that does not require overnight hospitalization, including physician visits, clinics, and telemedicine. Primary care acts as the first point of contact, coordinating preventive, chronic, and acute care. This slide's graphic highlights how strong primary care improves coordination, access, and long-term outcomes. Comparing the United States and France provides insight into how different healthcare models affect access, cost, quality, and innovation. In the United States, outpatient services are highly privatized and often fragmented. Primary care physicians account for a small share of providers compared to specialists. The chart here illustrates that nearly half of U.S. healthcare spending is directed towards specialty care rather than primary care. During COVID-19, outpatient visits dropped sharply before telehealth surged, temporarily improving access. Moving on to the strengths and gaps of the U.S. healthcare system. While the U.S. excels in innovation and rapid telehealth deployment, major gaps persist. For instance, the number of urgent cares in the U.S. increased by almost 100% from 2014 to 2023, which is great. However, high cost, uneven insurance coverage, and the absence of a universal gatekeeping system often leave patients navigating a fragmented network. The visual shows the U.S. ranked last among 11 nations for healthcare equity. In France, outpatient services and primary care are part of a universal health system funded through taxes and payroll contributions. General practitioners, or médecins généralistes, act as gatekeepers. France spends about 10% of its GDP on healthcare, roughly half of U.S. spending, while achieving better population health outcomes overall. And you can see that in the figure here on the right, that France is about half of the US spending. Now exploring the strengths and gaps of France. France offers universal coverage and strong continuity of care. However, their rural areas face provider shortages, and before COVID-19, telemedicine was not widely embraced. The map on this slide highlights the rural regions facing the most severe general practitioner shortages, which you can see in blue. Now moving on to the COVID-19 pandemic and telehealth. Both countries saw rapid telehealth expansion during COVID-19. The US lifted regulatory barriers, while France reimbursed teleconsultations at full rates. Moving forward, each country must focus on integrating telehealth equitably and sustainably. And here on the left is a graph showing that very sharp increase of telehealth usage during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, and this is for the United States. But most countries saw a sharp increase, including France. Now moving on to our comparative analysis. The United States emphasizes innovation but struggles with equity. while France prioritizes universal access and coordinated care. For instance, France's gatekeeping model helps prevent unnecessary specialist visits, reducing cost and improving outcomes. Both systems have unique strengths and challenges. Now to discuss recommendations for each country's health systems. To close gaps, the United States could strengthen primary care networks and sustain telehealth policies introduced during COVID-19. France could focus on incentivizing rural providers and broadening digital healthcare access, especially with their shortage of general physicians in those rural areas. In summary, the United States and France both have unique strengths and weaknesses in outpatient and primary care. The United States could learn from France's universal access and coordination, while France could adopt United States innovations like telehealth expansion. A hybrid approach may yield the best outcomes. Here are the references I used for this presentation, all in APA format. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.